Speaking of next generation and kids, as we've talked a lot about legacy, leaving our mark, what we're learning, what would you say to your kids, to the next generation, as a woman sitting in this decade? What would you say would be a great lesson of wisdom for them, or something that you'd say, this, I think, would really help you as you navigate through this life?
Can I give advice to both my kids as well as to parents like myself raising adult kids? So starting with my kids and kids of that generation in their 20s, you know, when I look back at my life, I think about, oh gosh, I wish I knew more what my core values were. So living with a sense of intentionality. What are my core values? What really matters? And making sure you spend time, really, instead of just thinking that life's gonna go on forever and ever and ever. And then the other side of that is just this forever wanting to learn and grow, this personal development and learning through that. So that's the one side. The other side for parents, I think that one of the biggest lessons I learned from my kids is to really learn to trust them. Trust their judgment, trust their decision making, trust that they'll navigate the mistakes that they will make. Or at least we think they will make. Trust that God's got them as well. So I think that challenge for a lot of kids, adult kids with parents, is there's this tension that arises because we still want to tell them what to do. And my kids have told me, but Mom, when you do that, it sounds like you don't trust me in my judgment and my ability to make good decisions for my own life. And that's the last thing that I want to happen. So building the relationship of mutual trust requires letting go. And that's hard.
I'm taking that advice.
Good.
I might ask you to hold my hand to it.
Good advice, Mary.
So good. So for me, is really about separating your strongest desires and your deepest desires. You know, and so oftentimes we get distracted by our strongest desires. That could be eating that thing, not
Eating that thing.
binge. Yeah, she looked at me, right? Binge watching on that show. You know, choosing whether it's even big decisions like career, going to church, putting a family together, choosing a partner. And really being connected to your deepest desires. And that goes back to your core values. What kind of life do you want to live? What's your purpose? What's your mission? And allowing yourself to make decisions from that place. And doing that takes a lot of intentionality. But oftentimes we function on autopilot. So when we're on autopilot, we are going to lean into our strongest desires. So that would really be the biggest thing for me. And then the other fun one is like, be weird.
Yes, please.
Have fun.
Like, have fun.
It's so overrated to try to fit in and be like everyone else, you know, and, you know, being the same feels comfortable because it's automatic approval and belonging, and you feel like I'm part of this group because we're all the same. But in reality, you're not. And so it's okay to be weird. It's okay to be different. You will be loved for who you are. When you find your people.
Be weird. That's
be
it.
Weird.
The sticker, the bumper sticker, everything. Perfect. That's
And your point about your people is one of the things that I always stress to my kids. One of the things that scares me about this generation is how unconnected they are, right? They're on their phones, they're here, they're there. And when one time in clinic, we had mandatory training. It was called Assist, and it was offered by CAMH, and it was, you guys I'm sure are familiar with it. It was if you were, we don't do crisis care, but if you were just on the phone with someone who was thinking of, you know, self-harm, you would just be able to kind of grab a few things in conversation till you could get someone more equipped. And the big thing that they said, there was one protective factor more than anything, and it was community. So imagine now if you have yourself in like a church community, people who, like you said, will pray over you, pray with you, put your eyes back on Jesus, help other things. So don't lose hope. God's got you. Choose your friends, your circle matters.
I agree with that,
Well, we keep talking about the wonder of being human. And I think that's advice for the generations younger than us is you are human. We're human. Let's see the humanity in each other and let's celebrate the humanity in each other. Let's be human together. And I think that actually is countercultural to a culture that they've lived in. That is cancel culture. Cancel the things I don't like. Cancel the things, the conversations that if they're unpleasant, then I move on to the next rather than leaning in to the humanness of each other. That would be my advice.
That's good.
That's great.
So I told you all to bring one thing, and I brought 5. So here's my 5 lessons. But sorry. Number 1, discovered Jesus.
Yeah.
I could not be here without Jesus.
Amen.
And I say that because I say discover. Like, don't take it from your parents and just, because your faith relationship doesn't just kind of through osmosis come to you.
Yeah.
But like, do the hard work of like listening, ask the questions, find a church community that works. Like, don't be afraid to talk to God with the questions, calling out, whatever it is. But this idea of really being intentional, young person, of just discovering and finding out who he is. Because he will meet you. And he will meet you in the ways that you don't expect, which is what my life testimony is. And so I would say that. Two, you guys talked about that. Find your people. At a young age, I have friends from 26, 30, 40 years ago. I have a small group of couples that we meet regularly for 20 years. And I started that way back in my 20s and 30s. And so I would say to a young person, find those people and then cultivate and be intentional about the meeting. Because we have been through death and divorces and kid issues and trauma and elderly parents, and we could not, and I could not do this alone without them. And so at a young age, start thinking, praying, God, send me these people, put me in the places. Third thing is stop scrolling. I was watching a really cool show. I won't say the name of the show, but the guy says to the girl, look with your eyes, not with your phone.
Wow.
And actually asked her to be present on this tour of Roma, and said, stop looking through your phone. Just look and enjoy and be present. And as a young person, I would say stop scrolling and discover this incredible world that God has created, and discover the people, the food, the cultures, all of that. And so I think that's the key one. And then again, like I just said, I think to be present in relationships and be present with yourself and being present with God. I think those are all my points. I'm like, those are them. And I think it's just because, you know, with our kids with us and me thinking now, you know, ahead and you know, in the past, what would I wanted to have heard from somebody? And I think those are the